Hello everyone, this is Jotak from MarketSmith India. Thank you for tuning into this video. We are very happy and excited to inform you guys that a new feature set has been added to the MarketSmith India application. Now before we discuss about the new feature set, a small disclaimer first. So whatever stocks that we discuss in this video, those should not be considered as recommendation to buy or sell. All information in this video is intended for educational purposes only, and please do not consider it as an investment advice. Alright, so let's look at the new feature set that I was talking about. So before we move into it, many of our users have been eagerly waiting for this feature set, because with the help of this new feature, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to narrow down stocks, research on them in a much quicker manner. It makes your task very easier, because now with the details tab in the evaluation section, this is the new feature set that I was talking about. You'll have all the important information about the company, about the stock, annual and quarterly earnings data, key financial stats, stock ratings, all those in one single window. So for Pidilite Industries, if you look at it, on top there is the NSE. The stock is listed on National India Stock Exchange. It belongs to the Chemicals and Specialty Industry Group. Company has its headquarters in Mumbai, India. This is the URL website of the company. Then there's a small note about the company's operations. It gives an overview about how the company earns its revenues, what are its products and services. And this information is generally available in the annual report of the company, and you can find that over here for all the stocks, and it's mostly updated on an annual basis until and unless there is a major change in a company's operation. Right, so that covers the company information. Next we have is information related to the stock. So market capitalization, so this is the market value of Pidilite Industries, the annual sales for the last fiscal year, so this is the annual revenues for Pidilite Industries during F5 2016. Then the number of shares in float, so these are the number of shares that are owned and available to the public for trading. This amount represents the total capitalization less restricted shares, insider positions, and shares held by management. So that covers the stock information part. Next we have is the annual earnings data table. So this is really important from the perspective of in Cancelim. Over here you will find the annual earnings per share data for the past 8 years when it is available. And the important thing over here is that these results are adjusted for stock splits, restatement of earnings, and other related items, so that we have a truly comparable data over here. Within few seconds time, users can see how a company has been growing its annual earnings per share. So as Cancelim investor, your focus should be on those companies that are having annual earnings growth rate of at least 20 to 25%, and this is the data which will help you to narrow down those stocks so that you are focusing on high quality growth names. Apart from the annual earnings per share data, you'll also find the trading range, 52-week trading range for a particular stock. So you can see that Pidilite Industries had a 52-week high of 105 in 2009 and a 52-week low of 38 in 2009. And this also gives a quick snapshot about how a particular stock has moved in last few years. So Pidilite's journey has been really impressive, moving from 38 to a high of 769 in 2016. One more important thing over here is that you can find the fiscal year end month for a particular stock just below the year. So March, it indicates that Pidilite Industries follows a 12-month accounting period which ends in March, which is mostly the case for Indian companies. So that's about the annual earnings data table. Next up on the list is stock ratings. So the information over here, you'll find all those stock ratings that you must have already seen in the evaluation section. So master score, earning strength, price strength, buyer demand, which is also known as accumulation distribution rating, and industry group rank. It is available over here so that users can look at ratings for stocks along with their fundamental data. This will also give a true picture about how technical as well as fundamental ratings look for a stock along with its annual and quarterly earnings data. Right, so let's move on to the next section, which is key financial stats. So over here you will find number of financial metrics that are really important when you're looking at a particular stock. So the first one over here is dividend yield, which looks at the relationship of annual dividend to a stock's price. Then we have the book value, which looks at the overall valuation for a company from the perspective of price to book ratio. The up-down volume ratio, this is something which is important and investors need to pay attention towards. It's a technical indicator, and an up-down volume ratio, it looks at a 50-day ratio that is derived by dividing the total volume on up days by the total volume on down days. And a ratio greater than 1 implies that there is positive demand for a stock. This ratio, it takes care of the S in cancelim. It is one of the factors that investors need to evaluate when they are looking at the S in cancelim. Right, so next in the financial metric list we have is the EPS growth rate. So this is the average earnings per share growth rate in the last 3 to 5 year period, and from the perspective of A in cancelim, that is annual earnings, it is one of the most important single piece of information that investors can look at. They can quickly look at the rate at which the annual earnings of a company has been growing in the past 3 to 5 year period. And this is very important because William O'Neill in his research found out that stock market winners, they had an average annual earnings per share growth rate of 25% before they made their huge price gains. Then we have is the earnings stability. So this looks at how stable the earnings of a company are. The lower the number, the more stable the earnings of a company, and higher numbers represent a tendency for more volatile or unpredictable earnings history. Next is the price to earnings ratio. So this is a valuation metric, and it is derived by dividing the current market price of a share by the latest trailing 12 months of earnings. Next is the 5-year PE range. So this looks at the high and low PE ratios in the last 5 years. Then we have is the return on equity. So this is also one important factor that is looked at when analyzing the A of a company. So return on equity is derived by dividing the annual income by the shareholders' equity. So the historical stock market winners, they had an ROE of at least 17% before they made their huge price gains. So investors can quickly look at what's the return on equity of a particular company in the last fiscal over here. Then we have is the cash flow per share from operations. So cash flow generated from operations divided by the number of shares outstanding. This figure is available over here. Next we have is debt. Now this looks at the overall long-term debt of a company. It's basically the debt to equity ratio, and over here you can find out whether companies have huge debt or a company like Pidilite Industries, which is debt free right now. Then we have is the alpha. It's an expression of how much a stock would have appreciated or depreciated on average on a daily basis over the last year, assuming the market index remained unchanged during the period. So it basically shows whether a stock is outperforming or underperforming the market, and the higher the number, it means that the stock is an overall outperformer in the market. Next we have is beta, which is a common measure of volatility. It looks at how a stock moves with respect to the overall market. The higher the beta number, the higher the chances of a stock having a greater price percentage movement relative to the market index. So next comes the final section, which is the quarterly earnings section. Now this looks at the data of earnings per share and sales in the previous 8 quarters. It has the earnings per share as well as the sales in monetary terms, and also the percentage change compared to the corresponding quarters in the previous year. So this is really important for investors who are looking at the current earnings of a particular company. The C in CanSlim suggests that our focus as investors should be on companies that have a quarterly earnings growth rate of at least 25% in the most recent quarters. Also, sales must be increasing at a double-digit pace. So the overall picture over here will give you an idea whether the C of a particular stock is strong or not. So that sums up the details tab of the MarketSmith India application. Please go out and check the fundamental data for all your favorite stocks. Now that it is available, it will make it much easier for you to analyze stocks on the basis of CanSlim. Thank you for watching this video.